is it's almost like there are certain professional sports towns in America where people point to it and they think that there's some kind of connection between, okay, the Patriots and the Red Sox are awesome, and then the Celtics, they captured a championship or two, and the Bruins, and that's just a winning sports town, and Cleveland's a bad sports, that they're like there's some kind of connection. And I never got that. I never understood it because there's no connection between the organizations. Similarly, we're in a situation right now where Florida has probably the best talent in America. Texas is right there, but they're certainly one of two that outdistance everyone else. The three schools, major schools in the state of Florida, are a combined 14 and 16 right now, and have generally been down, other than Mullins' couple years that have been decent up until now. Been down for a little while now. Is there any connection or reason for that?
Bad leadership, bad choices at the top for every program. Miami, Florida State, Florida. It's just been, it's been bad. And, you find ways to lose games that you should not. And that just carries over, and you play, it's just, it's been real bad. It's been real bad. And in their own specific ways, you know what I mean? Like Florida, has had a bunch of injuries, and you go 4-8 twice in a decade. And then, you have the Marco Wilson shoe throw and everything. Like, I mean, they had their own thing. We talked ad nauseum last week about Florida State and, playing these away games and recruiting and trying to say that, every player that they get is going to be evolutionary, and they're definitely not. Again, go look at the tweets up because I did after I got off the show. They said at the time that Cam Akers in high school was better than current junior year going to the NFL, Dalvin Cook. Asinine, ridiculous. But if you believe that to your core, as that's going to be the kind of performance that you're going to receive, you're going to fall short. And then Miami, obviously, just not developing any kind of talent, really, with very few exceptions. David Njoku, being one of the exceptions, who was a 3-star athlete kind of guy. He ends up being a first-round draft. But Gregory Rousseau also, but he had the measurables always to be that. But outside of those couple of guys, you really aren't developing any kind of talent, and you just piss away any kind of game that, again, games don't have to be close. They don't. You find a way to make them close all the time. And, if you're in close games all the time, you're going to find a way to lose because you're not going to be, perfect in tight game scenarios and situations. Also, to clean up a stat from earlier, we've given up Miami 30 points in every game of the year other than Central Connecticut State and Appalachian State was the only other FBS game in which Miami is not allowed 30 points for the opposing team. Regardless of if we get to that to them or whatever, just look at that. So again, things like that where you have a defensive head coach and who was a defensive coordinator when Miami's defense was very good in 16 and 17, and then say, okay, cool. Now he's going to be the head coach, and the defense, like I just mentioned, is the problem because everybody other than App State, who's an FBS school, has scored 30 points. So each school has had their own special level of deficiency that's led us to where we are, which is really not great.
Dan Mullen's done enough to show that he's a capable coach and head coach of a Power 5 team. He did it at Mississippi State. They weren't great, but he pretty much maxed out what anybody else has done at Mississippi State, and he's won at Florida before this issue this year, stringing together inexplicable type performances and then coming off the debacle of the end of last season. They went to an SEC championship game. So he's just kind of a strange, odd character that just does dumb things and says dumb things off the field. When he's on the field,
Logan, clip that. Mark saying strange, dumb character, please.
Well, check out my Dan Mullen video from this week. It's done rather well. And I went through his litany of misgivings over the past year. He has just sabotaged himself over the last year, just with buffoonery, just flat out buffoonery. But on the field, get him in a game setting with players and let him game plan and call plays. He knows what he's doing.